Hello everybody, how's it going? Before I turned on the camera, I had this desire to put glasses on. That can be a message. We are here with a timeless reading. Before we get started with the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with the highest good. Okay. What I'm seeing is that you may not be feeling super high energy right now. This can feel like it's coming from like an energetic or spiritual direction. It feels kind of like you're in a bit of a pause or even in an in-between right now. It's kind of like in-between action takes within the film, okay, of your life. It can feel like there's a pause on things, but it may feel like a pause to you, but I'm actually seeing things that are happening. I'm seeing some balancing here. I'm seeing something about the scales being tipped. There's an interesting symmetry between these two cards. Okay, so this Knight of Wands, you see how they're balancing something and it's kind of leaning in that direction? Also with the Tower too, it's the same thing. Do you see that? There's like something here that's happening. It feels even like, you know when you're carrying something and trying to balance and then you tip it like too far back and like the whole thing slides backwards? It's like, I'm even seeing like a tow truck here that has a car on it and then the car like falling off the back. Or when they get it to the location that they need to, you know how they tip it and then it slides down the back? Like that's what I'm seeing. It feels like you're getting something off of your back. But the deal with this is that it could be coming about in maybe a faster way than you had anticipated, and there can also be, you could feel like something is out of your hands even, because with the Tower at times it can feel like you're working on something or holding on to something and the Tower's like, no you don't, and it comes through and kind of slaps the thing out of your hands. And so something like that can be going on. But I get the feeling that you would kind of be relieved about this happening, but you may feel like it's not completely your doing that this is happening. Yeah, I'm seeing it again. It actually has to do with like the bigger balancing of things. It's like something was being, there was this original balance of things, and then it's like there were these layers built on top of like this foundation that was actually perfect by itself. Like nothing needed to be done to it, and then something started growing like out of proportion or out of balance, or like it didn't belong there, which I guess is also anyway the nature of the Tower. And I'm seeing like all of these pieces that were out of alignment are like slowly sliding off, but that form, that structure that was there in the first place, like the genesis, like the original structure of things, I'm seeing that staying, and it's perfectly fine and it's not affected by what this is that's happening here. But you could have even felt like you were sort of sinking in at carrying the weight of something that you were actually not even meant to be carrying anymore. Like I'm seeing even like someone's legs like buckling down, like maybe you felt really affected by something that was happening. So the Tower is actually coming through and helping you out, but also the Tower can feel like, no, what's happening right now, you know, because it can be a bit aggressive in the way that it happens. It can feel a bit intense, but it's really actually helping you out. I'm seeing a star here. It reminds me of when you're in school when you're little, how you get the stars when you do something that you're supposed to. Like a congratulations, pat on the back. It reminds me of teaching, stuff like that. Okay, this is part of an ascension for you, but it may feel a bit aggressive. The word aggressive keeps coming through, but I see it more as being like intense. Yeah, it was kind of like you were trying to ascend, trying to get moving with something, get something going. You could have even wanted to like seize something, but because of what you had on you, I'm seeing it had been holding you back. It's like this part of you that's like, let's move forward, let's go in this direction. It was being weighted down by something that it wasn't its function to be carrying. Okay? So it's almost like there was this function within you that was supposed to be used for something, and you may have been assigning it a different job that it wasn't supposed to be doing. Like, it wasn't created for that. It wasn't made for that. I'm also hearing that there's something about it not being in the itinerary. Like a weighted vest that you put on this part of you that's supposed to be the part of you that runs free. Okay? Like, that part of you isn't supposed to be held back in some sort of way. And that's why the buckling was happening. So you could have been like stagnating something or like not allowing it to move. And it's this part of you that is your compass in a way with the Knight of Wands. Because the Knight of Wands is connected with that part of you that's like, I want to go there. I like that thing over there. Let's move in this direction. Like, my gut is telling me this, so I'm going to move forward like that. Has to do with your passion. Has to do with what lights you up within life. And it has to do with like your ambitions. And also moving forward with things with a sense of bravery and vigor, because that's what's associated with the fire energy. It's connected also to with your Mars energy as well, because that's fire. So the Tower comes through, and also Judgment comes through here. So what I'm getting is that whatever this was that is like really unnecessary, I'm hearing stockpiling. This can also be this can be like social pressure, it can be societal norms, this can be beliefs that you had that you were kind of like compacting yourself with that wasn't allowing you to breathe or sort of move in the direction that you wanted to. I'm seeing like all of this sludge, even we can call it, that's sliding off. That wasn't supposed to be there. It didn't need to be there. It was not helping the function of anything. It was actually keeping you still and not allowing you to move. I'm seeing all of that get like sliding off here. And I'm seeing an ascension process. But it could have been something that was stopping you from fully understanding or perceiving things. But Judgment is you really paying attention to something now and looking into it and even having a deeper understanding than you did before. Because that's the function of Judgment. It's kind of to look into something, to put it under a microscope and assess it. I'm even seeing this like veil that you had been covered in that's like slowly slipping off. I'm seeing you sort of like beginning to poke through this as you rise up, and it's something that's, even if it hasn't fully fallen away, it's eventually going to be like slipping all the way off of you. But it's this is actually what I'm seeing, right? It's somebody that has a veil on them but can still perceive the light. Like, say you have a mask on your face, or you have something over your eyes which only lets the light in, but you can't make anything out, and you're still like moving towards the light, which is like wisdom and knowledge and truth. I'm seeing that even though something is still on you, the faculties that you do have and that you can use, I'm seeing you using them. It's such a difficult like sentiment to try to explain here, but basically I'm seeing that there's still a veil essentially, but I'm seeing you beginning to work with what you have and being able to still like move towards the light even though it's still sort of on right now. Like, instead of just sitting there and being like, well, because I can't see clearly as I normally do, I'm just not going to move anywhere. It's like you're working with what you have within the circumstances that you have, and you're adjusting to it, and you're still moving towards where you need to move towards. But what I'm also seeing too is that you may feel like one of the only people, you may feel even very isolated through this process. Like maybe you're the only one that's sort of like waking up right now around you. But I'm seeing you be very confident about this at this point. It's like something that you can't unsee anymore. And I'm seeing that like other people are beginning to wake up in this way as well, but you may be one of the first. And so that can feel a bit, I don't know, uncomfortable, disconcerting at times. Because you may have some people around you that are like, you may not perceive them as being aware. They may be more aware than you realize, and it may be more on a subconscious level, but they also know what's going on, even if it's on a subconscious level. They may know what's going on, but they haven't made moves yet, and I'm seeing you have been making moves. I'm hearing, does that make sense? Is that making sense? But I know that it is for you. But you could be maybe wondering, I don't know, there could be something about your process that you're questioning, but you're meant to just be trusting yourself with this. Yeah, it has not been easy to get to this point. I'm seeing a lot that you've been going through. And this has not been a fast process either. I'm seeing something that's taken a lot of time. Conscious, deliberate, and willing determination. But yeah, you're about to level up here is what I'm seeing. It looks like there's a chapter that you're closing out as well. Oh, love to see it. So that thing that initially had been driving you, that some other pieces needed to fall away in order for it to sort of clear the path of where you wanted to go. It's like this fire within you that wanted to go somewhere, but before you could have felt like something was blocking you, and now that thing is falling away. I'm seeing you're pushing through at this point, and it looks like that fire is now connecting with something that you're actually potentially physically going to be doing. But there can also still be this sort of like falling away around you, but I'm seeing you be very protected here. So even though it's like things can feel like they're sort of collapsing all around you, it's kind of like you're in this little orb, this little bubble, so no matter where you step, like nothing's gonna happen to you. But you may see it like all outside of this little bubble that you're in, that things are kind of like crashing around all over the place. But for you, I'm seeing you be untouched because of this. I'm hearing this algorithm that you're on. This can be related to your frequency. Yeah, it has something to do with your frequency. That something like can no longer touch you anymore, and that there's like this protective like orb of energy around you. I'm also seeing like your guides have a hand in this, and whoever it is that you feel like is protective of your energy, like your ancestors, your guides, spirit, you, your higher self, like whoever your team is, I'm seeing them also be a part of this as well. Which you know, but you may be seeing more clearly now. Like before it could have felt more like a feeling, and now you may actually be seeing things in a more tangible way, potentially, or maybe you're just more tuned in and can perceive more. Could be both of those things. But yeah, I'm seeing you're working very, very closely with your team. This stuff that you see falling down around you, it cannot touch you. There can be something that you're worried about, though. having to do with this. So that fire within you, things are falling away now. So the fire's like, let's go in this direction. Like, finally that wall isn't there anymore. Like, let me lead you. Okay, just listen to me. It's like this, the whisper of your soul. And so I'm seeing the path be clear for you now. And there's this part of you that feels like very excited about this. I'm seeing this be like a very pure aspect of your essence, meaning like not affected by the ego and stuff. It's just it's connected with your joy and your passion. But because of all of that stuff that had been weighing you down before, that had to do with like 3D and I'm hearing the word consignment. I see this as being, you know, like normal worries that we have within the illusion of the 3D, within the simulacrum of the 3D. Where it's like maybe worried about money, or like practically how is that going to work, or this thing over there. It's like all of those thoughts that are connected with doubt and you not trusting. I'm seeing that come up for you. So there's like a duality that you're working with here. I'm seeing it be connected with a worry, like what if the worst thing happens, like that sort of, or things could feel like they're moving in a way where like you need to take action. And maybe that feels troubling to you at times, or things are happening maybe at a larger scale or faster than what you feel comfortable with, or maybe it's just because it's a change in general. But I'm seeing this really, things have been clearing the path for you to actually go this way. It's just about trusting your guidance and trusting that feeling within you that's like, yes, I want to do this. I'm excited about this. And just letting that lead you here. But I'm seeing this other part of you that's associated with your earth energy. All of us have earth energy. The earth energy in your chart is going to speak up in a way where it's like, practically, what are you going to do now? You know, earth energy is associated with the earth and the constraints of the 3D while we're here, the challenges of this density. So I'm seeing that sort of bubble up for you, but your guides are like, follow your passion, move in the direction that this spark is calling you in, like let your excitement lead you, and also look into these beliefs that you have that are creating this feeling of doubt. It's time to analyze this and to look into it. Because I'm seeing this system want to be broken apart, and this is like a prime opportunity for you to check in about your beliefs so you can go through this process of transcending them, which means that there's going to be an analysis of why you had been thinking and why you had been believing what you had been believing that had been holding you back in the first place. What you had been taught, what had been modeled for you, what you thought was the truth or like some sort of law that you're actually going to be shaking off because it had been holding you back. But it could have been something that before you didn't even have the opportunity to question, but I'm seeing something be broken up now. Again, it's like this, something is being pulled off of you that had been weighing you down before, that it's like you had been so in like such a dense density before that it like didn't allow you to even get to this place within you. So it kind of was like this thing that was built in with you that you couldn't access before, or maybe you felt like you couldn't access before. But now I'm seeing, because this like density is being pulled off of you and there's this thing that's happening, this like ascension of sorts that's happening, it's letting you like access things within you having to do with your belief systems that you may have felt you couldn't access before. And this is part of your ascension. But yeah, rather than just taking these like doubts or worries or how is that going to happen as like the truth, it's about looking into it and being like, why do I believe that? Or why is that part of my belief system? Why do I not trust that if I'm following my passion to the best of my ability that things won't work out? Like, what is that about? getting to the bottom of things. So I'm seeing this is coming back to this notion of you still partly like having the veil on, but I'm seeing you be able to begin like perceiving the light in a different way, and you're starting to move out of it. So this thing is going to be falling off of you. But it takes some it can feel quite unpleasant to go through these energies within you, because they can be these like core beliefs that you have. But they're ones that would have been part of the like ego, and also part of fear and part of your shadow. So even though you still have like an element of this veil or this like lead vest that's on, I'm seeing that something is getting a bit lighter. So even though you have it on, it's like half the weight that it was before, and it's getting you moving. Like I'm getting something about moving off the mark now. Meaning, it's like moving up a peg is how I'm seeing it. Because when I say moving off the mark, I don't mean that you're out of alignment. It's like you're more in alignment, actually. It's just like further down now. Or further up. Because there's an elevating that's happening. Yeah, I'm also seeing you get to like some sort of base thought. You could have been like, okay, so the thought is here, and this is what I need to look into and change. And I'm seeing you see like, oh, that's connected with that, and that's connected with that, and that's connected with that over there, and that's actually the base thought that had been holding me back. So it's like something that you're going back to and realizing. It's like this chain of command of your thoughts that you're like, oh, it all started here. Like, that's why I have that doubt. Like, that's where that belief came from. So I'm seeing you like trail back. This is something that I'm really seeing you succeed with this here. It's something that you get figured out. This was a long time coming. I'm seeing this have to do with the Saturn in your chart. This can also be activating your Pluto, and it can be activating your Mars as well within your birth chart. These are really amazing prospects to be seeing coming out here, because you could have felt like you were at the end. Like, it's kind of like you and your opponent are battling, okay? And right before they like have you on the edge of the cliff and you're about to fall off, and then like something miraculous happens, and then you end up like winning the battle. I'm seeing something like that here. Like, see this Six of Wands with this person? Is like they're over here at the edge, like about to fall off of the cliff. Like right as something's about to come down, they realize that you realize you're the one holding that. There's just something very enlightening here that takes place. It also feels a bit ironic as well. I see this being very significant, how you could have, it's like you think that your enemy is the one that's like about to get you, and then you're like, oh, that's my hand. It was me all along. It's like a Fight Club moment. So this also has to do with your integration as well. But yeah, something could have really been holding you down, especially because Five of Pentacles can be like, oh, it's my circumstances. Oh, it's because like my guardians or my parents were like this. It's because of that. It's because of the school I went to. It's because of that one teacher, you know, it's because of whatever, XYZ, you know, all of these things. And I'm seeing you get to this moment where it's something that Five of Pentacles is a reality in itself, but it's this understanding of your ability to change the station to something else. Because I'm seeing you had been in this spot where like a lower density station, it's real, you know, we're perceiving it. It does exist, but also so do the higher ones. So I'm seeing you just change the channel here. But it was something that maybe you weren't aware that you could do. Like you weren't aware that you had control over something, and now I'm seeing that knowing, I'm seeing that understanding be resting in you now. But it was really something that, like, the 3D, the Maya, the illusion, like, it had you convinced that you were just, like, a victim to the circumstances that you were in, or that on a grand scale, or that this situation wasn't going to work out because of that, you know, you couldn't do anything about it, all of that stuff, or like, this isn't going to work, I have this passion and I want to live this out, but you know, everything is fighting against me, like all of this stuff, like all of this lack of trust. And I'm seeing things like vastly change here. But just because of things that you went through that could have felt in many ways beyond your control, it could have put you in a spot that you felt kind of subdued in a way. But there was learning to be had from experiencing these things. But I'm seeing the game kind of change, like things are shifting for you at this point. And now you're going to do something about it. You could have been like waiting to use your voice even, or waiting to decide something, or waiting to get somewhere mentally. But it looks like there's an active role now that you're going to be taking. I'm seeing your throat chakra have to do with this. So this can be any form of expression. It can be you deciding anything. It can have to do with anything mentally for you that you're doing, decisions. I'm seeing you also have a clear view of where you're going now too. It was just something that needed to be understood. I'm seeing a lot of mental discipline as well that this has taken too. But yeah, it seems very much like you are rising to the occasion here. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some sort of, it's like mental mastery, something like that. Okay, let me say this too. There could have been something that, there was this part of you that very ambitiously like wanted to move forward with something. It's like this part of you that's like, yes, let's go in this direction, I'm ready, you're like all fired up about this, but then something could have happened in the environment that sort of like, it spooked you, is what I'm getting. And whether this was something physically that happened or something mentally that happened, it's like, you know, when you're like laughing, you know, and having a good time, and then something happens and everybody gets very like sullen and serious. It's like a moment like that where you were in the middle of having fun and then like something came down and it may have like frightened you a bit. But as I said before, it's like this thing that's been happening around you that actually doesn't touch you because of the frequency that you're on. So you don't need to be worried about it. Like, it's not anything that you need to be concerned about. It may be something, it's like something that you're observing that's happening is what I'm seeing, but it's like not for you. But you may have been thinking it's for you. Like, oh, I need to take that and be scared now. Like something like that. But I'm getting, because of like how you're functioning and the frequency that you're on, this thing is not for you, so you can like cut it out completely. You don't need to worry about it. It's like something that you felt was going to like impact you or touch you that like it has no ability to. But the irony is that if you believe that it's for you, it will become for you, you know? If you believe that this can touch you and affect you, it will. But it has to do with your belief system. So if you're in a spot where you're like, nope, I trust my gut, I want to go after this, like this is where, again, like that whisper of my soul is leading me, and that's the tune that you're moving to. This thing that you're seeing around you that's happening that may feel very heavy, you may have had like a misconception over what this actually was, because you could even, and other people can even perceive it, or okay, it's like this. people that are in a lower frequency that are perceiving this thing that's happening, they can be like, this is something to be scared of, it's destruction, it's this, it's that. And really, it's actually a restoration and a rebalancing that's happening. But if you're not on the frequency to be able to perceive that, if you are aligned with the frequency of fear, whether you're spreading it or receiving it, you're going to see this as something that's going to subdue you. But I'm seeing your guides be like, it's not meant for you. You have, again, a protective bubble around you. And I'm seeing just that, like, knowledge, just that understanding, that moment of remembering, like, oh, I'm fine. Like, that's not anything that I need to concern myself or be worried about. Then I'm seeing it be like that moment again, where it's like, the end is about to come. And then you're like, oh, that was my hand this whole time. It's like this very big, like, moment of awakening here that happens. And there's clarity even about what's been going on, what's been happening. So yeah, something in the environment, it looks like, got your attention, something that was happening, and you could have questioned, like, oh, am I off track because I'm seeing that, because this is happening? Like, is that warning for me? And it's not, it wasn't. You know, it's like the teacher yelling at the classroom, and you think that you're part of that, and then you realize that you're not. You didn't have anything to do with that. But it could have been something that you were carrying with you. It's like this like guilt or this fear or something that's like a low density thing. A low vibrational thing that you could have been carrying with you, that it wasn't yours to be carrying around. So I'm seeing there be a liberation here. But it has not been easy. Like, even though moving through the reading in this way, it may be like, oh, of course, like, now that it all makes sense. But like, when you're in it, when you're in the live action of moving through this, it doesn't feel like that. But that's why the readings are here, to clarify things and to simplify them, make them more easily digestible, and bringing the organization of consciousness to the front. Okay, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.